Yo, what's up with y'all boys, man? We ain't back with another vid, man. As we get deeper to the off season, I want to like to do my predictions for the next season. As this last season was very, very hectic, and it showed a lot of what NBA teams should be doing, and gave the formula for how to win the championship in this new NBA. So here are some of my predictions. My first prediction is I think that Trae Young will have an All-Star, MVP level type of season next year. I don't necessarily think he's gonna win the MVP, but this is like a prove it year for Trae Young. The Atlanta Hawks have built basically a perfect team around Trae right now. And it's a prove it year, man. It's a prove it season. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years back. Let's see if he could do it again. The East is wide open. The Celtics are hurt. The top dogs are hurt. The Bucks, Giannis doesn't have enough help. And, it's not a lot of teams you really got to compete with. And they just keep getting better and better as the years pass. Like guys like Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, and now Kristaps. This is a very provy year for Trae Young. And let's see if he can, prove it and show everybody who Trae Young Ice Trae is. So yeah, that's one of my. Trae is gonna be asked to be on ball way more. He doesn't have somebody like DeJounte Murray taking away, from his touches. He still has Zachary there, but he's still developing. So Trae Young is gonna be basically the sole ball handler of this team, the playmaker of this unit. And I want to see what he's able to do with the keys to a actual good team. There's nobody on the team demanded touches like I was gonna say Jalen Johnson, but John Collins. They're not demanding. There's no drama. It's just time to win now. And let's see if the Hawks could, come out on top and actually do something this year. And let's see how Trae Young's season is gonna go. My next prediction is that Zion Williamson and the Pelicans are gonna be a 50-win team this year. I really do believe in this Pelicans roster. I like the moves that they made, drafting guys like Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen. I was thinking of Maryland. I was gonna say Derek Maryland, but but I digress. Guys like picking up guys like Jordan Poole, man. I really do think this team could be a 50-win team, a playoff team. If everybody stays the course, and everybody plays their role, I think this team could be really good. But the big thing with this team is health. They always seem to be hurt. They always seem to be something wrong. When Brandon Ingram was there, it was like he was the only guy on the court sometimes. DeJounte Murray is out for, half of the season right now. He's dealing with an injury. Zion has a lot of health issues. He's always hurt. He's always have a problem. So that's the biggest thing right now. Will they be healthy for the long run? Will they be healthy down the stretch of the season to be a 50-win team? And I think they will be, actually. As the New Orleans Pelicans have acquired pieces like Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, and Jordan Poole, and they still have guys like Trey Murphy, I think that the injury bug, if Zion goes down, I think they have enough to weather the storm. Jeremiah Fears, an explosive guard who can score in bunches. Derek Queen is a guy who has amazing footwork, who is able to make some good passes out the post. And then you got a guy like Trey Murphy, who I think personally will break out as a all-star this year. Trey Murphy he's one of those guys. And then, when DeJounte Murray get back, he can fit in the lineup. And you also have Jordan Poole. And Jordan Poole, these past couple years have been on a struggling team, haven't had a lot of success with the Wizards, but on the Pelicans, where he's not the main focal point of the offense and there's other guys around him that can score, I feel like he's going to thrive off the catch and shoot, off the, catch one dribble go. I think Jordan Poole, all of that is going to count for something. Jordan Poole is another guy who's an explosive scorer, just like Fears. And, I think there's not going to be a lack of scoring nowhere. I think what's going to really kill these guys is defensively. They still got my guy Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado. But, the main guys that can score the ball aren't really great defenders on the court. And so size is an issue too with this team. What's going on with this big position? What's gonna happen with the big position? They really don't have a lot of size in that department. But other than that, yes, the Pelicans could be a 50-win team if they stay healthy. If they stay healthy, man, it's the sky's the limit. I don't think NBA champions, but I feel like they stay healthy, they can move in a better position and they can figure out what they need for next year instead of playing the health game. But if they aren't healthy, I still think they can be a play-in team. Next prediction, the next prediction, man, is dear to my heart. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are gonna be our next year's NBA champions, man. You know, the Cavaliers has been building this team up for some years now. Every year they lose and they get an extra piece. Lose, get an extra piece. You know, just like how the Celtics were building. You lose and you get more pieces. I feel like the Cavs, it's a perfect storm right now. The Celtics are hurt. The Pacers are hurt. The Eastern Conference is wide open. All they have to do is make it to the finals. Man, it's going to be a tough task to beat the Thunder. But I think the Cavs can beat the Thunder with the I was gonna say Mobile Mobley. Yeah, the mobility of Evan Mobley and the defensive anchor Jarrett Allen. I feel like the paint's gonna be on lockdown. It's not gonna be a lot of switch mismatch hunting. With Mobley, how mobile he is, and when Darius Garland goes down, you got somebody like Lonzo Ball to beef up the defense, or you could just put Darius Garland on the bench real quick and have Lonzo, Donovan, and DeAndre Hunter out there for defensive leverage, and you won't be losing a lot of steps on offense. You will lose a step, but you won't lose it to where it's major and noticeable like it was this last season. With the East being wide open for the taking, as the Celtics and the Pacers have gone down with injuries that is probably gonna sideline their next season, I feel like the Cavs are the runner-up, the next guys up to come out the East, and I feel that they can. If they get a favorable matchup on the West, like if they don't see the Thunder, then I feel like they can win the championship. Any team besides the Thunder, I think the Cavs can compete with. And if they do get the Thunder, I think that it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Shea versus Donovan Mitchell, basically. But it's all up to the guys in the front court. Jarrett Allen, he has to play his heart out on defense. He has to know his role. Evan Mobley has to keep taking jumps in his game, improving the three-pointer and spacing out the floor more. You can't have two big back-to-the-basket bigs, and you can't have two bigs who can't play on the floor together in crunch time. So they're going to have to figure out just nooks and crannies for real. But those guys will have to improve in the front court. Darius Garland will have to find a way to try to stay healthy, try to preserve his body. And I feel like getting Lonzo Ball was the perfect, thing for them to try to get Darius Garland to preserve his body, try to, make my guy, a little more durable during the big moments. Donovan Mitchell, keep doing what he's doing, become a little better of a playmaker. Sometimes he becomes a ball stopper and the ball just stops in his hands. But all in all, I feel like the Cavs have a great chance next year. But yeah, man. yeah, man. In the comments, man, let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for me, man. I really appreciate it. We trying to keep growing and growing. But those are my bold predictions for next season. And yeah, have a great day.